start. Yes, so we are glad to see all of you coming to meet with great speakers and get deeper knowledge about PMO this early morning. We are pleased to be virtual guests in Southwest Ohio, which is the third largest US manufacturing state. Among leading industries are bioscience and healthcare, and Fast Track Your PMO is a signature event which is focused on project professionals who lead multiple projects and want to boost their career, improve the outcome, and get recognition. I'm Nadin, the event manager at PMO Global Institute, and I will moderate this event for today. I promise it will be valuable and joyful for you. At the end of the session, you will have the chance to win great prizes. So cheer up and stay tuned till the end. And now, first of all, warm welcome to Kathleen Bland, VP of Professional Development at Southwest Ohio Chapter. She is an account manager at Highlight Technologies. The projects she has worked on have surpassed expectations for customers and by senior management. Kathleen has been a key player in expanding company contracts and involved in business development. For the last 9 years, she has had a proven record of meeting deadlines, coordinating multiple departments to complete projects, and streamlining processes to more effectively manage resources. Now, Kathleen, the floor is yours. Warm welcome.
Thank you, Nadine. Yes, welcome. I see a couple familiar names here and there, so welcome to, I don't know the last time that we've had a morning session like this, but I am excited. I'm a morning person, so I might be a little more bubbly than you get me in the evenings. But with it being a morning session, you guys are going to get a survey at the end of the event today, just automatically sent out from the chapter. Welcome your feedback on time, format, and subject that we covered today, because it's all kind of a little different than what we normally do at Southwest Ohio. So we haven't really focused on project management offices or PMOs. So I'd love to hear if you want more of that topic covered going forward. My term as VP of Professional Development is ending at the end of the year, but I do know that you will be in good hands with the new incoming board members. I don't think the official results have been let out, but they are coming, and I've met with all of the candidates. So no matter who wins, you will be in good hands. The other things that I would kind of like to highlight are some upcoming events. This is the last speaker event that the chapter is hosting for this year. So in order to get your PDUs for today, that survey that's automatically sent out at the end, if you fill that out within 1 week, we will submit your PDUs to PMI for you. If you don't fill that survey out within that week, then you'll just have to self-report the PDUs to PMI. We'll be hosting one more networking event in December and a new member orientation meeting that will also be in December. They are not on the calendar yet. We are getting them up within the next week or so. So be on the lookout for that in the newsletter, emails that you get sent out. And then the board of directors is also hosting a chapter strategy session in January. All members are welcome to participate. If you are interested, you can email me at professional-development@pmiswohio.org. The email's on our website. I will also put it in the chat after I am done rattling off stuff. If you are interested and want to participate in that, in guiding our chapter into the next year. I'm excited to have PMO Global Institute here today. PMO Global Institute is the global body for PMO certifications, representing global project management offices, including project, program, and portfolio managers involved in defining, establishing, and running high-performing project management offices in and across industry sectors. The objective of PMO Global Institute is to make PMO learning available to project professionals across the globe through certifications, events, networking, and hands-on knowledge sharing. So I'd like to hand it back over to Nadin from PMO Global Institute to talk about today's event, their accreditations, and other events that they're having.
Yeah, thank you, Kathleen, for this awesome start and detailed information. So everyone has noted key milestones. And now let's dive into the greatest journey, the world of PMO and its opportunities. And now I will share my screen to roll through actually some benefits that everyone will definitely get during this event. All right. Let me know if you can see my screen. Oh, you can see my screen, right? Okay. Perfect. So today we have such learning objectives as everyone will learn how PMO setup works. You will learn tools and techniques to apply CB PMO framework. You will have the chance to increase your visibility and become recognized within your organization and peer circle. You will make use of the best practices in PMO and increase the success rate of your projects. And also you can claim for 2 PDUs, 2 contact hours. Also, all participants will get for free the CB PMO framework. You will get access to the largest PMO community. 5 lucky winners at the end of this session will have the chance to win full-year PMO Global Institute memberships, which actually cost $89, but they will get it for free and will be able to download the digital copy of the PMO guidebook. And you can also can get 10% discount on PMO GI PMO certification program. So this is our PMO guidebook, and also Kathleen have already introduced us, who we are. And just to add some more numbers and statistics, we have members in 100+ countries. We have 70+ partners in 60 countries. And here is the source actually of PMI 2017 that 46% of PMO directors said that their organization doesn't understand the value of project management. 68% of stakeholders perceive their PMO as bureaucratic. And now I'm going to pass the floor to our 2 speakers, Frank Bernhardt, who is the Global Service Leader and Global Agile Competence Owner at Procter & Gamble, CIO Circle member, currently based in Cincinnati, USA. His specialties are project management, information system architecture, competitive analysis, finance processes, business analysis, mergers and acquisition. And the second one speaker is Lisa Shivers, project management team manager and ePMO leadership at Kettering Health. Currently, she is serving as a project professional, leading a team of project managers, along with serving as an ePMO leadership member. She performs mentorship and education related to project, program, and portfolio management. Her ability is to facilitate and drive process improvement initiatives using lean methodologies. And now they're going to speak on the topic challenges of PMO in Southwest Ohio. The floor is yours. Warm welcome.
Thank you, Nadine. So I was talking with Lisa and Frank. First of all, my understanding of PMOs is pretty limited. I understand that it was, a project manager, a central office that kind of doles out project managers and guides companies. So rather than get my limited novice perspective, I brought in 2 experts, Lisa Shivers and Frank Bernhardt. Both work in Southwest Ohio. Lisa works for Kettering Health Network and Frank Procter & Gamble. So 2 different perspectives of the same type of thing. So I wanted to kind of start out probably first with Frank. Can you provide a brief overview of how your company kind of structures their PMO, and then we'll move over to you, Lisa.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, great question, how to structure a PMO, because actually the establishment of a PMO is not the natural first step when you start to do project management. This is something that you have to take as a deliberate point. And specifically, if you have a large corporation, you have to really make a point around what do you want the PMO to decide, and what do you want the PMO not to decide. And this is how we set it up. My organization as a PMO is really covering our central services and our IT and HR and core logistics services. So what we clearly decided at the beginning is we leave the some areas on their own. And specifically, we left on their own the R&D environment, because we said that doesn't make a lot of sense to try to integrate that. And also the hard mechanical engineering, because that's a different type of role. So we have two other PMOs actually within P&G that are handling those two organizations. And we have a very strong cooperation, but I'm not owning the areas. The second part, what we had to decide is what should a central PMO own? And we decided that the central PMO should not own the individual project managers as their resources. So we have actually established at the moment 9 different satellite PMOs that are actually embedded into the business, and they're owning the resources that are actually doing the projects in their business units. Why do we do this? Because we have learned that it's very important not only to understand the project management frameworks, but also understand the business. And that means if somebody is very experienced in a certain area of business, it's much harder for them to jump into another area and do a project there. So that's the reason why we try to keep the people within their business units. But what we centralize, and this is what I'm owning as a central PMO, is I'm owning everything that is not business unit specific. So what would that be? Things like deciding what frameworks we're going to use. So whether we're using PMI and we're using PMP as a certification, or we would use Prince 2, which we don't. So these are decisions that are fall into my camp. Also, what falls into my camp, and this is why on my profile you find the architecture, is I'm deciding what tools you use. So what tools do we use for Agile? What tools do we use for Waterfall? What tools do we use for portfolio management? And then last but not least, everything around training and certification makes a lot of sense to centralize that, so that people are not running around and trying to find their own training courses. So we're centralizing the availability of training courses. We've built our own training courses, and we're centralized certification and coaching. Roughly, our organization that we cover as a PMO is approximately 1,500 project managers. I will probably never know the detailed numbers because it's changing every day. And I also distinguish here between project managers that are professional project managers. These are the 1,500. And then we probably have another 1,000, which we call accidental project managers, who just run a project without ever having received any training. And we're covering them as well. In total, we cover roughly 300 large and mega projects. I'm not counting the small ones. Okay,
Yeah,
Lisa,
so,
over to you.
So that's a pretty big organization. Lisa, I know from our conversations, yours is a little smaller. So yeah, but how is yours organized at Kettering Health?
Sure. Thanks, Kathleen. Ours is much smaller. We have 7 hospitals in Southwest Ohio, and we started our PMO through our IT department. There was no organized PMO before. We just said, we're going to do this. And we started with 3 people. And similar to Frank in the journey, we started with frameworks. PMI is also what we chose as our framework. Getting PMP certifications. We started with our IT leadership getting PMP certifications because they were our accidental and informal project managers at the time, but until we grew our team. Now we are a team of 15. We have business analysts, senior project managers. I would consider myself probably the portfolio manager for our projects, and we have a director. We manage mostly IT projects, but we have started branching out into other areas of the business and have been doing marketing projects, construction projects, highly complex clinical rollouts of technology or process improvements. So there's a wide swath that we are in the midst of managing now. We also have small project management teams that have started in the business units. So similar to Frank's stories, that is starting to occur in the different business units in our billing department, in our physician and onboarding area. We have a couple project managers there as well. We also have a process improvement department that focuses strictly on process improvement types of projects, and they are also PMP certified. As we go forward, we are looking, more governance. There are so many projects out there that we do not manage in our organization, and we have a lot of accidental project managers that need to be trained up. That is a focus for us coming in 2023.
Excellent. So two kind of different perspectives, a pretty well-established PMO and then a somewhat newer one. But with both types, there often are a lot of issues or problems that come up. I feel like that's project management. You're just constantly dealing with projects, but I'm sure there are specific ones and ones that are kind of common across PMOs. So we'll start with you, Lisa. What are some of the common ones that you've run into when kind of coming into a project?
Sure. A lot of times we have leaders who want something to be executed, but they don't clearly articulate the problem sometimes. They know they want it, but they can't give us quantifiable success criteria at times. We struggle with bureaucracy in our organization. What committee do we need to go to for certain approvals? I think that's common in a lot of organizations. We also struggle with getting the data. We just struggle with getting data and time. There's so much change in healthcare and there's so much change in IT, and you put both of those together and it becomes terribly complex to execute and get things done. Our organization isn't terribly aware of Agile, so we are trying to introduce that hybrid environment, and that sometimes does not work with healthcare leadership and people who are helping us to execute the projects. And of course, there's not enough time and there's not enough project managers and there's too many projects. So those are our main challenges.
Great to hear that perspective, because for me, it's a little bit different what you would expect. And the focus where I really have a lot of the issues are coming from are two aspects. The first one is governance. In a large organization, usually one of the key points is how do you make sure that you don't have everybody running around in completely different directions. So governance of frameworks, governance of best practices, even providing best practices is something that we have to do on a constant basis. We actually started this now roughly 8 years ago, where we established a database of best practice documents. So whenever we have a project that is finishing, we look at the material that they have put together, and we're looking, is any of these documents what we call best in class? And this is a review that we do internally by some experts, which actually are project managers in some of the business units. That's the reason why I sometimes make the joke that I'm running the biggest volunteer organization within P&G, because a lot of these people are not directly reporting to me, but they're actually are linked to the project management competence. And we're coming up with that. So governance is a key point. How do you make sure that people are copying the good documents and not the bad ones? Then the next one is one that is also, I think, normal in an organization with close to 100,000 people. Everybody finds somebody that have found something that is the greatest thing since sliced bread. So they come in and say, this is a great tool. I want to use that. And I've heard somebody on the golf course talking about it, and I would like to use it. I probably get 2 or 3 times a week the request for introducing a new tool into P&G. And that is actually a challenge, because you have to filter out the good ones from the copycats. And there are a lot of tools out there, and some are great, some look great, but when you pull the cover back, you rip your head out and say this is not really what you expect. And also that means that I'm also in charge of the architecture and infosecurity, which means if we're bringing a new tool, we have to make sure that the information is not leaked all over the internet. And those are all aspects that are very common in issues that people say, yeah, I found a tool that's slightly better than yours. Can we change that? And that's a constant struggle to find the best tools. And the infrastructure is also moving. The tools that I've implemented 5 years ago, 2 of them are no longer even allowed to be used. So it's changing.
And along with it, is there one of the biggest challenges that you've encountered that like sticks out in your brain? Like, oh yeah, I have nightmares still about this.
Yeah, I can probably continue with that. That is, there are a couple of those, and I wouldn't say nightmares, but they keep me up and seeing how to handle them. And basically we have 3. The first one is I'm also owning the Agile framework help management there, together with our product and DevOps organization, which is a separate organization from mine. But I'm dotted line reporting together with that. And what we have as a challenge, we need to integrate Agile. We have a good way to integrate Agile as a project management framework, but Agile has other aspects. Agile also is a product development framework. That means you need to think about the different way when people are coming in and say, oh, I'm not doing projects, I'm doing products. And you have to make sure that this is not an escape route to do any governance. So this is one area. The second area is DevOps. DevOps is something that is coming in more and more in. It started in the IT area, but it now is actually moving also into other areas where you would have never thought about it. Because DevOps is actually, I would define it as the decoupling of your deployment cycle of product versions from the development cycle. And that is fairly independent from thinking about IT or non-IT projects. And you need to integrate that into your project cycles. So when do you use a project cycle? When do you use a DevOps cycle? And how do you migrate potentially from one to the other? Because very often you start as a project and you end as a product. So these are things. And then last but not least, portfolio management. One of the key things, especially in a large organization, we have the tendency to do portfolio management, which I call waterfall friendly and agile tolerant. What we need to do is something that is agile and waterfall friendly, and that's not an easy task. So that's probably the big challenge that I have on that side in front of me.
And I would say, as a less mature PMO, we used to get worried about what we call sideways projects that come in from somebody else that's gotten approval, and then they land in our lap and we have to execute right away because we're contractually obligated because some executive signed on the dotted line. Now we have some governance, like Frank was talking about, where things have to come through technology reviews. It has to go through our executive finance committee before things get approved. So we have much, much less of that. Now we're focusing on what is our project management way of working? What is the way we can deliver value the quickest for the project, and what methodology best suits that project's value statement?
Excellent. And then I know we're running low on our time, so I guess to end our fireside chat, do you guys have any suggestions for companies that don't have a PMO that are thinking about implementing them? Either one.
I'll go ahead and start. First, you have to get some kind of executive champion. It will make your road a lot smoother, because right now we're leading kind of from the middle. We don't have an executive champion. Our CIO is probably the closest person we have, but we're really not any higher partnering. But you have to talk to leaders and see what they need. If you're going to provide a service, but they don't even know who you are or what you do, you won't be able to meet their needs if you're not talking to them first. And then we started small. We just started with IT, start with a pilot group and then branch out. And you've got to get good project managers. If you don't have a good project manager skill set, then your reputation is not going to be very good, because your project managers won't be able to execute best of class like Frank was speaking. And Frank also talked about standard tools and templates. We have that as well. We have playbooks that we have established, a knowledge base, like a wiki that people can go to access those playbooks and start creating reports and start getting visible, get marketing involved, and just start. You just have to start doing it and act like a project management office until you are.
Great. Let me just add to those with very few additional points. I think for me, the best advice that I could give people that want to start a PMO is first understand what you really need, and don't try to solve problems that you don't have. Sometimes it's enough to start with a community of practice, or you start with what I would call a project management center of excellence that just focuses on the easy ones, which is training, certification, tools, nothing else, and then grow into the role of a PMO if there's really the need and people value what you would contribute. If people don't understand why you want to build a PMO, it will not happen. So make sure that there is a clear understanding of what is the benefit that you deliver and what are the pain points that you can touch. My experience is frameworks and processes are probably the hardest to standardize and are the hardest to address, so I would leave them to later. And last and final advice is governance and internal control is your friend, because a lot of the projects are suffering and they're actually they're fearing that somebody from internal control will pop up at their door and say, hey, I want to audit your project. So the moment you can provide them with best practices that are developed together with your internal controls and governance organization, it's much easier to sell that, because it's basically like, hey, if you do it by the book, you have a good chance that if the auditor comes, you can say, hey, we done it that way, and they will walk away.
Excellent advice. I wrote a lot down. I'm not in a PMO, but I know my company, we are government contractors, and we sometimes try to go in and help set up a PMO for different agencies. Thank you very much, Lisa and Frank, for providing your insights and some local knowledge. If you guys do want to reach out to either of them, they are both on the board. So Frank is the VP of training. You can contact him at training@pmiswohio.org. And then Lisa is, oh, why am I blanking on your title, Lisa?
AVP of training.
Thank you.
That's okay.
I wanted to call you the director of training, but that's what we used to call the people below the VPs. But her email address is summit@pmiswohio.org. So if you have any questions that we don't get to today or want a little more one-on-one, feel free to reach out to them. I'm going to pass it back over to you, Nadine.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Kathleen, for passing the floor. And thank you so much, Frank and Lisa, for sharing your practical experience with the audience. It's the most valuable to learn from practice, not only from theory. And now, dear participants, be careful. Starting from this session, take notes, because at the end of the event, we will play a Kahoot game. Made on the base of this knowledge content. And you will have the chance to win one of 5 full-year PMO Global Institute memberships. So it will be the great prize for you. Be focused and take notes. And now I'm going to hand over to Steven Fauser, who has managed projects for over 40 years. These primarily include IT, software, data center infrastructure projects. His roles include designer, developer, project manager, program manager, portfolio manager, PMO consultant, and trainer. He has received outstanding performance awards from distinguished companies, including IBM and Xerox. For the past 6 years, his company, Lagility, has served the project management profession with his unique experience and focuses on building and optimizing high-performance PMOs. Mr. Sauser is CBPMO authorized instructor and serves on the PMO Global Institute Advisory Board. So warm welcome to Steven Sauser.
Thank you, Nadine. Last presentation I did, I had nobody introduce me, so I had to introduce myself. It's much, it feels more natural when somebody else does it. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm enjoying it. Both Frank and Lisa, what they had to share with us was great wisdom. Let me start my presentation here. Where's the share button? Here we go. So I'm coming to you from the Philippines. I'm actually a native Californian. I'm a West Coast boy, but I've been through Ohio once or twice. So it's great to be able to present to you today. And let's get after it here, because I got about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more. We're going to cover a lot. The intent here is to give you an overview of what the PMO Global Institute has put together. It's exciting to me because when it comes to projects, corporate governance, delivering value, the promise that the PMO can bring is really incredible. But it's as you heard, it's challenging. It's very, very challenging. What I'd like to do to start off with here is get to know a little bit about you, about our audience. I think I saw over 61 at my last thing I looked at here. And I'm going to share something here. So if you go, I'm going to ask you some questions just to get to know you, and everybody can see. I've also put this in the chat box. There's a link you can go to participate in this. Just some general questions. Already can see some answers here, which is great. You can scan that QR code, or you can just go to the website and use that code to get in there. We got 7 answers so far. We're not just statistically valid yet. I think it was 30. Edward Deming taught me that. I had dinner with Edward Deming, just in case any of you are curious about that. Of course, Edward is no longer with us. We're up to 20. We've got about 30% of our people. We're getting there. Looks like we got the right people in the room. 64% have PMOs. I expect that the next few, I have a total of 6 little polling questions for you so we can understand who we got here. We're holding pretty steady, about 60%, 2/3. Got about 2/3 of the folks have PMOs. It's awesome. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch to the next question now. So you got to be quick. is your role an internal or external role to the PMO? So internal would mean you actually work inside the PMO, you report inside the PMO. That's 7. Okay, here we go. Interesting. A lot of people here in this session that work in the PMO. All right, more than half. Oh. Gotta get it in quick because I'm gonna cut you off. We're over 30. All right, let's move on to the next one. But good, well, you know, more than half are in the inside the PMO. Next question. If your role is internal, which more than half of you was the case, what is your role? Those of you who are selecting other, if you would write your role in the chat, it'd be nice. I'd like to see what roles you have. All right, PMO manager, project manager, kind of a balance here. PMO director. It's always to better have more engines than chiefs. Almost hit 30 there. Getting ready to go on to the next question. Your role's external. What is your role? Good. We've got some executives here. Excellent. Project managers. Got 15 responses. You guys are getting tired of this. I can't delay too much. That's okay. We've got a lot of project managers here. I'm going to move on. How many years have you worked in the project management profession? You guys remember how many years I have? Many. 9 years, 20 plus. There you go. Look at this. Oh my goodness. What a powerhouse of experience. We can go home now. Everybody knows what we're going to talk about. The text answers are quicker. Good. We're over 30. All right, I'm going to move on here. It's amazing to me here. Low experience. Okay, so here's my magic question. This one's kind of fun. So if you had a magic wand, now this would be, you know, you project managers who are external to the PMO. I know you got gripes. I know you've got complaints. So this is anonymous. So it's fair. You can do it. All right. So if you had that magic wand, what would you change? You know, think about your gripe, but don't tell me the gripe. Just tell me what you would make better. You know, what is it? Just a couple words. Maybe it's resourcing. I don't know. Maybe it's less bureaucracy or less reporting, whatever it might be. Go for it. For those of you inside the PMO, it's going to be a little bit different, right? And the executives here also in your organization, what is it you could change? What do you want the PMO to do better? Whatever. I'm hiding the answers right now because I don't want you to influence each other. I'll release the answers in a moment. We're up to only 12. Come on. Ah, interesting answers here. Okay, these are good. These are all good. Got 19. Come on, push it, push it. These are really good. We're gonna. Get 23, slowing down now. 25. Oh, that's interesting. You guys don't have the opportunity to see what I'm talking about. I'm going to release it in just a second. I'll let you guys keep keying. I'll go ahead and show some of these results as it goes. Are we finished? I showed it. All right. Better governance. Easier to get data. Better processes. Stop China dominance. That's a curious one. PMO can do that. Better knowledge sharing, better metrics, leadership support, budget. We're all over the map here, but that's okay. All right. Well, I'm going to switch back to my presentation now. Thank you for participating in this. Change my share, not stop it. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to give you, Nadin said she's going to give a little quiz. So this is pay attention time if you want to win in the quiz, because this is the PMO Global Institute perspectives, kind of our perspective on things. There are many right answers, but these are the right ones for the quiz. What is the role of a successful PMO professional? It's a pretty generic statement. And by the way, if you guys just want to key in your answers to in the chat to everyone, it's great, so I can see what you're thinking. Again, what is the role of a successful PMO professional? I like the PMO Global Institute answer to this. I'm going to give it to you now. Here it comes. Here it comes. Oh, go away. Okay. To perform PMO functions at a high level to generate greater value. It's a pretty generic statement, but it pretty much encapsulates it all. We're going to perform PMO functions at a high level to generate greater value. Okay. Here's the next one. A PMO should always align with what should it align with? What should be the ultimate guiding? Yeah, good answer. I'm getting some good answers here. Yes. It doesn't give a person's name. It only gives their initials. LS. That's right. All right. PMO should always align with business case and strategy. Now, I suppose for a company that like Frank works for, Procter & Gamble, where he's set up many silos, that business case and strategy may vary for each of those PMOs, those sub PMOs. But so a PMO should always align with the business case and strategy. Next one. One of the key objectives of setting up a PMO is what? And of course, there's many objectives, but what comes to mind? What's on top of your mind? If you were thinking about setting up a PMO, what's the problem you'd be trying to solve? What's your objective? That's a standardization. Has been an answer coming in. It's good. Governance. All correct answers. PMO GI perspective is productivity. Good. To optimize resource utilization. All right. One of the key, and it's one of, right? It's not the only, but one of the key objectives to setting up a PMO is to optimize resource utilization. All right. Why does a PMO typically fail? You guys have any ideas on that? I think we're going to come up with 3 of them. Like a follow through, getting too granular. Yeah. Not perceived as providing value. Absolutely. Lack of support and resources. Okay. inexperienced PMO is one of them that we have. Sponsor does not realize the PMO benefits. And I would say this, yeah, I see Frank nodding his head. Yeah, really, really important. We're going to talk about this a little bit further, but the sponsor does not realize PMO benefits. And the third one I have for you is failure to streamline processes. And I saw several of you key in that, in your response. So very good. All right, another question here. What are the common KPIs, key performance indicators of a PMO? Should go ahead and pop a few of those in that come to mind. What should you be monitoring? What are performance indicators for PMOs? Speed to deliver value. Good one. Give me some more. Project win rate, budget, time to completion. Excellent. Any more? All right. The ones that you need to pay attention to from our perspective is improved project completion, which one of you had keyed in there. Improve stakeholder satisfaction, really important. And faster time to market. I think I saw all three of these answers you guys keyed in, so awesome job. All right, so at PMOGI, we have something we call a PMO approach. And what that is purpose. What is the purpose of the PMO? What is it trying to accomplish? What are the objectives it's trying to deliver to? Measure. Measuring yourself, we just talked about KPIs, measuring ourselves against that purpose. How are we doing? And then optimizing based on our measurement, modifying our plans, modifying the roadmap, whatever it is that we need to enhance to optimize the performance of the PMO. Okay, so that's the PMO approach: purpose, measure, and optimize. Let's talk quickly here about the guidebook. The guidebook's known as a guide to the project management office. It looks like this. Kind of a cool looking cover. I'm not sure who did that, Corrine, but I like it. And
not me.
The thing about, not you?
Not me.
I don't approve of all the artwork I've seen, but this one I do. This book is centered around, deeps into, and explains this framework. And that's really, there. Is that a printed copy? What do I have to do to get that?
You're getting it for Christmas, Stephen, for Christmas.
Awesome. I'm excited. The guidebook is really a compilation of knowledge from many experts to really define what the standards should be, best practices related to the PMO. And we had, I heard that from, was it Kathleen? Kathleen, right? You're hosting us, right? Yes. You talked about how you had PMI. I'm a PMP. It focuses on project management, but the project management office is an entirely different discipline, really. Now, it incorporates project management, of course, and it needs to completely understand project management because it's supporting those project managers. And that's really what's key. Is one of the greatest services is to provide good service to the project managers. So this framework covers all those areas. And so for the balance of my time, I'm going to press down through this framework. There's 26 elements in it, so there's a lot. And all I'm going to do is explain to you the organization of this framework, which each of these components are. And then in the Q&A, if you had a particular question about one of them, then bring up your question. We can dive deeper into it. So because of time, we're gonna just push. But I want you to understand this is what we're doing, and that's what the guidebook's all about. All right, so the framework's broken into 4 layers. There's a foundation layer. It has 7 components in it. The execution or executable layer, which has 7 in it. There's a supporting layer, which has 9. And then there's a leadership and sponsorship layer, which is 3. You add those all together, you get your 26. So here it is. We'll start with the first layer, the foundation layer, which consists of this business objective, PMO strategy, health check, maturity check, defining PMO functions and services, PMO roadmap, and PMO charter. That's a lot right there, just in our foundation. So we'll start with the business objective. It's really an essential part of a business entity. And it needs to be clearly defined. And it's really at the executive level where the business objective has to be defined. And everything that the PMO does needs to take into account and support the business objective, the organizational strategy, the way the portfolios and programs and governance, everything needs to revolve around those business objectives. They need to be clear. Then the first major thing is a PMO strategy. It's a high-level roadmap. It describes how the PMO will achieve its mission. There needs to be strategic alignment between the PMO and this business strategy. It's really a two-way process. I know there was a little discussion about the PMO needing to have the executive level support, and that is absolutely true. And if you don't have the contact there, you at least need access to what those business objectives are and the strategy of the organization that you're trying to serve. That all goes into the PMO strategy. Health check. Health check assesses PMO services and reports actionable findings and recommendations with regard to the health of the PMO. It focuses mainly on how well the PMO's customers and stakeholders are being served by the PMO. And so customers are up, down, and sideways, project managers, vertical business units and managers, and senior executives. Maturity assessment. It's a tool for recording and analyzing the level of sophistication in the project management office and the systems in the office. It serves as a roadmap for moving forward and measures improvements that can be made in the PMO. Analyzing and defining PMO functions. PMO functions identify all activities, functions, capabilities, and responsibilities that the PMO needs to deliver excellent services to the organization. And these, I think Frank made a comment, these need to be chosen wisely. And they evolve as the PMO matures. The PMO roadmap encapsulates everything that's above in the foundation layers. And it is an exploration of the organization's strategic intent. It sets the direction for the PMO's efforts. So it's what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, how we're going to go about it. And the roadmap is constantly evolving, and it's part of that cycle of review and modification. But it's a roadmap for the PMO. And then there's the charter. The charter defines what the PMO will look like, what its structure will be, what services will be provided to the organization. Usually executives will sign off, or the sponsors at a minimum, to the charter, because it's kind of a contract of services. This is what we're going to do. There's a financial piece in there. This is what's going to cost to run the PMO. So it's a charter, kind of like a project charter, but it's the PM charter. All right, so that is the foundation layer. We just ran through 7. Next, we're going to get into the execution layer. We'll start with the 2PG, developed 2PG. That is a PMOGI term, which stands for policy, procedure, and governance. And in order to run successful initiatives, the PMO has the mandate to ensure that governance, policies, procedures are all aligned with each other to provide proper outcomes to the organization. So it's kind of a big bucket, but that's the 2PG. Next, proof of concept. POC is a common approach used by PMOs. I think I heard that mentioned earlier today, to assess the viability of a proposed PMO roadmap. And not the whole roadmap necessarily. It may be an element in the roadmap and the framework to meet business needs, and should be aligned with the strategic goals, vision, and mission statement. But rather than, if you're bringing a new service online, there might be different business units. You tended to go across to all of them. You can run a proof of concept through one just to validate how effective something is before you roll it out. Defining KPIs. KPIs need to be defined and enabled to continuously evaluate the project management office performance. And they need to be selected wisely also. Define roles and develop competencies. PMO staff are highly experienced professionals and need to be staffed to operate according to the organization's needs and goals. So each PMO is staffed and structured uniquely. It does. It really depends on the PMO, what resources that you needed to it. So it has to be structured and to begin compliance with the PMO strategy. Evaluate PMO ROI, return on investment. There's this term in the book about the new generation PMO. And I think it's new generation in that we have a framework and we're very focused on how we establish and grow PMOs. It's about adding value to the organization. There was a failure rate, I think was mentioned. PMOs do fail. And typically, almost always, there is either not a return on investment that the company is making into the organization, or it's not understood, just not communicated. So evaluating PMO ROI, and we're not talking about project here, we're talking about the project management office, is key. All right, track PMO performance, kind of related to ROI, but it's a little more global. The PMOs must measure the performance in areas of strategic alignment, operational efficiency, execution, and business value delivered to be considered an asset in the organization. So it may incorporate some KPIs that also speak to ROA, but there are other performances that need to be taken into consideration. Continuous improvement, we kind of touched on that. PMOs need to perform continually improved practices using the maturity model. It's a tool so you can see where you have an opportunity to improve the organization. And it's ongoing. The maturity assessment should happen, in my opinion, quarterly. Some people say 6 months, but I like to see it quarterly. Typically will align with the organizational financial reporting when you do it that way. All right, so that was the run through of the execution layer. 2 more layers to go. Anybody remember how many elements are in the next layer? Yes, 9. So PMO needs to establish models, methods, and artifacts to serve the purpose of the PMO. That's what they're there for. Stakeholder management. This is a really important area. Stakeholders are most critical and complex components of a PMO ecosystem. They're directly associated with the success or failure of PMO initiatives and must be managed. In fact, some PMO stakeholders can try to sabotage your efforts. And it's key to understanding your stakeholders and how to manage them. And the framework actually dives into this particular element of running the PMO. Very important. The environment of the PMO, it must be aligned with the organizational goals and objectives to be compatible with how project teams are structured within the organization. Environment may include, like we were talking about, the need for waterfall as a fit in some areas, agile as a fit in another. Making a hybrid can be challenging. So the environment of the organization, what they're doing, Frank talked a little bit about product management versus product management. And you had another one, Frank, it's escaping me. Had to do with development. But anyway, depending on the environment we're trying.
You mean DevOps?
Yes, it was DevOps. Thank you. Yeah, that was it. I thought it was interesting. In fact, I had some questions for you about that, but another time. So that's the environment. PMO technology stack. This can be very challenging. Frank made comments on this too. To do what we need to do efficiently, we need the technology. And the various elements of the technology we need to apply, there's no one tool that can do it all. There's security issues, there's connectivity, compatibility issues, but technology stack is certainly a supporting element that we have to be considered in the governance of PMO. So every phase of project execution and PMO management reporting to stakeholders relies on this technology stack. Team structure. Team structure of a PMO is important because it focuses on team skills and competency to deliver PMO function and services. That's kind of a coarse thing, but it certainly is a supporting element. Succession planning. People don't think about this too much, but when you structure your PMO, pretty much everybody, most of PMOs I know run pretty lean. If you lose a member off the team, it's a problem. It can be really, it can interrupt the work. So there has to be clear plans on, especially for the key leaders. If the key leader steps down, who's going to take that spot? This can include project sponsors, project managers, project officers, and other roles that are central to the smooth functioning of the PMO. Supporting functions. We talked a little bit about functions and services that are offered by the PMO, but there are also some functions that enable the PMO to provide those services. So they're kind of under the covers functions that are required to run the PMO. PMO structure type. The PMO could be a portfolio PMO, program PMO, project PMO, some combination of that. As far as it can be a supportive PMO. Frank mentioned, I think his counsel on setting up a PMO at the beginning is to be more consultative, provide direction there. But there can be, you can go from anywhere from just being supportive to controlling to being directive or a combination of in between. And then agile PMO. The common purpose of agile PMO is to establish transparency and visibility by adapting agile manifesto principles within the operation of the PMO. We have nothing specific in this area, but the principles should be always considered and look to see how they can be applied to serve the PMO to operate more efficiently. All right, so that's the supporting layer of the framework. Now, last but not least, we have the leadership layer. PMO leadership, executive sponsorship, and emotional intelligence. So PMO leadership, very key. You need strong and focused leadership to ensure the success of the PMO. Without strong leadership, a PMO may struggle to establish its identity and define the role it plays within the organization. Leadership is very important. Executive sponsorship. Also extremely important. Executive sponsors play a crucial role in the successfully not only establishing a PMO, but the ongoing success of the PMO is dependent on the active involvement of the sponsors. The sponsors, they need to receive that return on investment. I like to take the PMO, get it into a position where it's viewed as a profit center by the sponsors and senior leadership. In other words, when their money is invested in the PMO, there is a true return on investment coming back out of the organization. Last but not least is emotional intelligence. And the guidebook goes into this in a fair amount of detail. Part of the ABPMO certification process, the training for that will take you through the emotional intelligence. It's really important to bolster team performance. It focuses on the human experience, how we deal with our emotions, how we interact with others. Clients, team members, stakeholders, sponsors can accumulate with clarity, deal more effectively with challenges, and act strategically and swiftly when there's a high degree of emotional intelligence. All right. We ran through this. You've just gotten an overview of the CBPMO framework, which is when it comes to the crafting the PMO, managing the PMO, I know no better framework than this particular framework. Okay, let's see here. What's next? I got so much on my screen. How are we doing on time? Some time for questions now. How do you want to handle this, Corrine?
So you have finished, right? Thank you so much. Thank you, Stephen, for your great session. And now, if anyone has any questions, please promptly ask directly in order not to forget what you want to ask.
We do have one question in the chat box, Stephen. So how is a PMO roadmap different from the maturity assessments?
Okay, that's the roadmap is going to be laying out what the for example, what services the PMO is going to provide to who and when, and then it's time boxed. So the roadmap's describing what the PMO is going to do, the services provide. The maturity assessment is what you go through. It's a snapshot at a point in time that evaluates where the PMO stands in its maturity. And it's actually used as an input into the roadmap for you to make a decision on, all right, we're a little weak in this area. What can we do? What should we put in the roadmap to get us there so we can grow in that area of maturity?
Thank you. Thank you so much. So other questions probably will be later. And now I'm going to pass the floor to the Vice President of Global Partnerships at PMO Global Institute, Corrine, to speak on the topic career in PMO. Corrine is responsible for promoting PMO learning through collaboration and the partnership program. Corrine has a deep understanding of the diversity of project management, gaining cross-cultural expertise from operating in 6 countries across 3 continents over the past 16 years. By sharing the knowledge of PMO Global Institute's CBPMO framework and guidebook, Corrine strives to change the fabric of PMOs across continents by ensuring PMOs are not simply performing, but succeeding, thriving, and speaking the same global language. So Corrine, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nadin. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I'm so happy to see 66 participants at this time of the morning. I mean, this is dedication. So thank you very much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. I know it's early, but I hope you've all brushed your hair and had a coffee. Would you mind putting your video on just for a few seconds, please, so we can get a little photograph of all our smiling faces at this time in the morning? Thank you so much. This is fantastic. That's it, Nadin. Do your hair. That's it, Anne. You're looking great. Okay, after 3, 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much. We'll put this up on LinkedIn later today. Thank you, everybody. So my part today is to talk about careers within the PMO space. The poll that Stephen did was fantastic. Actually, we do have a lot of PMOs here, right from executive level to, project managers and external staff working within a PMO too. So this is really, really interesting. Thank you, Stephen, for running through the framework for us. That was absolutely fantastic. And as you said, this basically was built to support PMOs in their careers, wherever you are right now in your career. This framework and this guidebook can absolutely help you to implement and to, of course, to succeed with your organization's PMO. So today, I hope you've all been taking notes, because 5 lucky winners will win the prize of a paid membership. And with this paid membership, you can download your own version of the PMO guidebook. So good luck, everybody, at the end of this session. I'm wishing you all the best and hoping that you can win your own version today. So let me just share my screen with you. I'd like to talk about the 3 ways that PMO Global Institute can help you in your PMO career. So the first way is that you can become a member for free. So Nadin, if you wouldn't mind sharing the link, please, thank you, for our free membership. So please just pop your email and name in there. And with this, we have a fantastic community manager who is constantly looking at global statistics and sending out fantastic newsletters. You can also get your own version of the framework. You can download the framework here. So please take a second to become a member. The regular membership, as Nadine explained, is usually $89, but 5 lucky winners will win this morning. So good luck with that. So please become a member. The next way is you can become a CBPMO consultant. So today we have our authorized instructor, Stephen Souther. He is with us today. When you go through the CBPMO training, it's 21 hours in total. Of course, you get the guidebook, and this shows you how to implement a successful PMO step by step. Stephen's next training is going to be the last 2 weekends of January. So this is the 22nd, 23rd, 28th and 29th of January. As Stephen is a speaker here today, he has been very generous with all the attendees here, and he's offering a large discount for his training program at the end of January. Usually it is $1,660, but everybody here will receive a $300 discount if you sign up today. So Stephen, can you please pop your email and your link in there, please? Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll put that. Actually, I'll put the links into the chat.
You're a star. Thank you. So this is the second way you can become a consultant and one of those people within your organization that is pushing for the success of the PMO. So this is the second way. The third way, we do have a business partnership. This is exclusively for trainers who really want to educate their communities and really push those success rates of PMOs within your community. So if you are a trainer, if you'd like to educate your community and push through with this framework and training programs, you can become a business partner with us too. I'm going to pop my email just in the chat box here. So if you feel like this business opportunity is calling out for you, if you are an internal teacher and instructor, then please let me know. I'll be happy to explain more. So thank you for listening to me for the last 10 minutes and good luck in the quiz, everybody. Looking forward to seeing who's the winner. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Corrine, for letting dozens of participants know opportunities in their career. And now the main session has come over, and we are going for our Q&A session. If you have any questions, feel free to ask any speaker. And in the chat box, I have found one. What are the key roles that need to be satisfied for a typical PMO? So who would like to answer? Maybe Stephen? What are the key roles that need to be stopped for a typical PMO? Sorry.
The key roles?
Mm-hmm.
There are many roles. PMO director. You need a PMO director in the role. That's the role.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, you have project managers that are providing services. They're a key role. There's so many of them. I just would say the director, the leadership of the PMO is probably the most key.
All right.
Yeah, I can add one that's probably a little bit uncommon, but really helpful. And that is a project management architect.
Mm.
What do I mean with that is large corporations usually have an enterprise architecture organization. And these, if you follow enterprise architecture, then they are organized. The concept that a lot of companies are using is the concept of a city architecture. And that means you have suburbs and you have city blocks, and each of these have an assigned architect. And when you step up and talk with your enterprise architecture, you can very often get the ownership of the project and program management city block. That's what I did a couple of years ago, and it helped tremendously because you have that immediate option to be on all the reviews for all tools that have to be introduced into the company in this area. So it's work that you need to be able to handle, but on the other hand, it helps you to tremendously to govern your organizational setup in terms of systems and structures.
Thank you. Thank you for your valuable addition to this question. If anyone else has any questions, yes, we have it. In starting a PMO, does hiring externally help speed its setup and ensure its success?
I can probably start to take that one. That's a double-edged sword, yes and no. Yes, you'll get the expertise, and yes, you will pay up for that. So if you have the need, we actually had that occur. We have an internal project management office, project management team, but we had a project that we were switching banks at our organization from one bank to the other for the entire organization. And our leadership didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable that our team would be able to handle something at that level. So we hired externally for that purpose, and it worked out very well. And it was worth, paying up for that, paying up for a consultant to join us for a year in that instance.
Amazing experience. Yeah. Okay, so what we have else? Key roles. Okay, the question was about the roles, and here we have the answer. Sponsor, PMO director, PMO project manager, project team, stakeholders, PMO manager. Okay, who else? And
I'm going to probably add one more to that one. Mm-hmm. And that would be somebody to help with the intake, depending on where things are coming from. We have projects that come in from a variety of places. We used to have them come in through email, and somebody would call us, and now we have something on our intranet, a form that's filled out, and we have people that handle the intake. What we found is when we had our project managers doing that, they were having to assemble all the information before they could execute on the project. If you can have a role, whether that's a business analyst or just somebody to handle the intake and kind of curate some of that information in a nice little package with a bow on it, and then the project managers can execute on that standard information more quickly.